Hi, I'm Sean McLean, and welcome to my YouTube retirement channel. Last year, after working for nearly 30 years in corporate America, I decided to retire. I wanted to spend more time researching and studying topics that I found interesting. I then created this channel to provide a forum for debate and, as the name suggests, inquiry, where we investigate and possibly embrace or challenge ideas and intellectual systems or theories. And one of the topics I was interested in when retiring was foreign language study. Like many of us, I took a foreign language, French in my case, in high school and college, and then promptly forgot it. But then I decided 10 years ago, in my mid-40s, to re-engage in the study of French to see if I could become proficient. This seemed particularly possible given all the new tools at the time. By then, with YouTube and podcasts and other language learning tools on the internet, it seemed like that was the time to do that. So I would say within the last 10 years, I have become relatively proficient. I can have a conversation with a native French speaker. I can read some level of books, not novels necessarily. I can listen to the radio and some TV broadcast. But in that 10 years, I was working full time and raising a family. So I needed to become effective in my language learning, particularly as an adult. So what I have here are my 5 key takeaways. I don't want to call them shortcuts because they're not shortcuts, but these are my 5 language learning tips for adults, or perhaps at any age, but particularly for busy adults. The first is properly defining the word fluency. I think for many, the word fluency conjures up images of people sitting around tables speaking French on every topic, watching movies, telling jokes. I think that level is not necessarily realistic to start with. In many cases, I think that idea of fluency will stop most people from even beginning the study of a foreign language. So first is redefine what fluency means for you and what you want to do with your foreign language. It could be, as in my case, to be able to travel in France and have a relatively relaxed conversation on a variety of topics. And also, I wanted to be able to listen to philosophy lectures in French and on YouTube. So that was one of my target goals. Secondly, you want to learn from a native speaker. And this is generally for the 2 related reasons. First, you want to develop an ear for that language from a native speaker. And secondly, and critically, you want to be able to work on your pronunciation to be able to copy their sounds the best you can. Not only does it make you comprehensible to others, it will increase your level of comprehension exponentially. Because once you hear those sounds, you yourself making those sounds, you'll recognize those sounds from others. I think one of the key ways to interact with a native speaker is through italki. It's an internet platform. The link's in the description. What makes italki so powerful is there's thousands of instructors in most languages, I believe, and it's relatively inexpensive. And the instructors range from beginners, just for conversations, to professional instructors. And it's very convenient because you schedule them on the internet, on Skype or Zoom, and you can have a real-life conversation at your leisure. Third is you want to increase your vocabulary, most preferably with a system called Space Repetition System, or SRS. This system was developed in the 1880s and is based on a forgetting curve, where the system tracks the time it takes you to forget words. So the basis of the SRS system is you learn a word and then you usually promptly forget that word. But in this case, the system records that word for you and then reintroduces the word at later times and tracks your progress on learning that word or phrase. I think one of the most popular popular ones today is Duolingo. I don't use Duolingo. I don't know if Duolingo is customizable, where you can put your own words and phrases in. I think a more customized version is Anki. I happen to use one called flashcards, where you can enter any words and phrase you want. There's a built-in voice synthesizer. These are powerful. This is a powerful tool because it takes the pressure off to immediately memorize a word. For me, I entered the word in the system or the phrase, and I forget about it because I know the system days or weeks or months later will reintroduce that word or phrase, and I will then relearn that word or phrase, and the system will keep track of it for you automatically. I think today I have approximately 11,000 words and phrases in my flashcards, and which I've been using for close to 10 years. I can't emphasize the value of this tool because it's under your own control. You can do it while you're waiting in a lobby or for an appointment, and you can just go through your cards. Fourth, and this is important as well, is you want to have comprehensible input, which means that you should be able to understand a podcast or whatever content you're reviewing at about an 80% understandable level. So you need to understand approximately 80% of the content that you're listening to or watching. Now, this was relatively difficult when I first started studying a language 40 years ago because the content was relatively limited. But now with Apple Podcasts and YouTube, the content is virtually unlimited. It ranges from beginning to very advanced or content targeted for native speakers. YouTube, you can search YouTube and podcasts for any level of content. But again, it's important that you are at 80% comprehension. If it's too high, like jumping right into a French film without subtitles, you simply won't be able to make progress for the most part. And then lastly, and I can't emphasize this enough actually, sometimes brute force is required. You need to just spend the time doing your work. It may only be 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, but if you consistently study your foreign language, and that includes doing your podcasts, your note cards, your reading out loud, if you can focus on that every single day, even for 10 to 15 minutes, the time will add up. And it may not seem like you're making progress, but over time, by definition, the time builds up. Minutes become hours, hours become weeks, and weeks become months, and months become years. And you will slowly but surely begin to become proficient. So in summary, language learning for an adult, I think there's 5 key takeaways. One is you want to properly define fluency for your objectives. 2, you want to learn from a native speaker of your foreign language. 3, you want to increase your vocabulary, preferably with an SRS spaced repetition system of your choice. 4, listen to comprehensible input at about an 80% comprehensive rate. And 5, you need to understand that sometimes brute force is required. You must put in the time every single day, even if only 10 to 15 minutes. And again, that can be done in waiting rooms. It can be while waiting for something to cook, but that time will add up over time. Thank you for listening. Again, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up or feel free to subscribe and comment. Thank you.